flags flapped in the wind above the castle. Knights began to put on their armour. The crowds were ready to watch the country's bravest knights compete in fighting and horseback riding. Arthur was helping his stepbrother Sir Kay get ready for the games. "I forgot my sword," Sir Kay said. "I'll go home and get it for you," Arthur said. He wanted to see Sir Kay do well in the games. Arthur ran down the streets through the crowds. He reached the inn where he and Sir Kay were staying, but the door was locked. Everyone had left to watch the games. "What will I do?" Arthur said. "Sir Kay needs a sword so he can fight." Arthur looked around. There must be a sword somewhere. Then Arthur got an idea. He had heard about a sword that was kept nearby. People talked about it all the time. It was stuck in a stone on a hill that overlooked London. Arthur raced to the stone. He would take the sword to Sir Kay. The stone sat in a clearing among the trees. The blade of a great sword was buried in the stone. Arthur put one hand on its hilt. Then he pulled the sword free. He quickly set off to find Sir Kay. Arthur reached the games. "Here, Sir Kay, I have a sword for you." Arthur handed the beautiful sword up to his stepbrother. "Good work," Sir Kay said. Sir Kay looked at the sword. His eyes went wide and his jaw dropped. "Where did you get this?" "I pulled it from the stone on the hill," Arthur said. "But I promise I'll put it back when the games have ended." Another knight had overheard them talk. "You pulled the sword from the stone?" He sounded very doubtful. "But you're not a knight." "It can't be," said someone selling pies nearby. "It must be a trick." A crowd formed around Arthur and Sir Kay. "My stepbrother isn't a liar," said Sir Kay. Then an old man stepped from the crowd. It was the wizard, Merlin. "There is only one way to find out," Merlin said. Merlin, Arthur, Sir Kay, and the crowd of people went up the hill. Sir Kay returned the sword to its place in the stone. He tried to pull it back out, but it would not budge. "Let me try," said another knight. He too could not remove the sword. Everyone in the crowd tried to pull the sword from the stone. Strong knights and skinny knights, innkeepers and blacksmiths, nobles and peasants. But no one could move the sword an inch. Merlin said, "Arthur, now you try." Arthur stepped up to the sword in the stone. With one hand on the hilt, he pulled the blade from the rock. To him, it felt as light as a feather. A hush went over the crowd. "It's true," someone said in a whisper. "He pulled the sword from the stone." "Did I do something wrong?" Arthur asked. "Not at all," Merlin said. "Don't you know the story? He who pulls the sword from the stone is meant to be the king." Sir Kay sank to his knee. "I will serve you with honour, King Arthur." "Long live the king!" a knight shouted. "King Arthur! King Arthur!" the people cheered. Arthur was soon knighted and given a crown. He swore to the people that he would be a good and honest king. The people loved King Arthur.